经常会有朋友问我为什么不喝牛奶，不吃奶制品。其实如一之前也分享过2篇关于牛奶的视频，但是可能因为内容太过敏感，触碰到了某些人的利益而被下架了。那今天我们先不谈牛奶对人的身体的影响到底是好还是不好，我只想给你看这样一个短视频。我相信看完之后大家心里都会有一个清晰的答案，就不要再问为什么了。
From an early age, we are sold this version of milk production. One where cows graze freely, happily roam in the fields, and are content and cared for. But what is the reality? Unlike what they want us to believe, most dairy cows have no chance to graze in pastures or live freely. They live in enclosed spaces, are forced to walk on concrete slabs, and are surrounded by the metallic sounds of machinery and iron fences. In about 10 months, a single cow can produce 15 gallons of milk per day, which is 14 gallons more than she would produce in the wild. The enormous physical effect it takes to produce that much milk will ruin a cow's body and lead to premature death within just a few years. Cows are continually impregnated to guarantee constant milk production, and calves that are born are very soon after torn from their mothers and confined into small boxes. The calves are kept separate from each other, often in terrible, unsanitary conditions. Their feeding is totally artificial, and since they will never see their mother again, they are given pacifiers. The intensive production and never-ending milking causes serious damage to the body of the cows. Often their breasts become inflamed, causing mastitis, a very painful infection. But this is not the only consequence of stressful milk production. These animals are also covered in wounds and suffering from infections and damage to their legs. Footage we've shown here is not an isolated case. Unfortunately, it's the sad reality of the daily life these cows are forced to endure for the production of milk. The milk industry wants to portray an idyllic world where cows graze happily in the fields, but the reality for these animals is very different. Theirs is a life of suffering.
The investigation of Natural Prairie lasted not even 2 months long. People think that organic dairy is produced by happy cows living in green pastures. That's hardly the case. The reality is these animals are dying in the holding barns where they live for 95% of their lives. They're being lifted up by front loaders. They're being dragged inhumanely. They're being forced to produce a product for the organic industry. What exists at Natural Prairie and organic milk is torture, misery, a short life, and an agonizing death. Our undercover investigator saw handlers chasing down mothers in the middle of giving birth, not even giving them the chance to give birth to their babies before taking them. Their babies being quickly processed, quickly caged, separated from their mothers. The udders are being lit on fire. Mothers that are so sick they can barely walk. Mothers are being tied into a pretzel-like form. They're being picked up with front loaders, and they're being brought to a holding area where they're just being left to die. The misery of these animals living in their own excrement, being beaten, being stabbed with screwdrivers. Portholes being cut into the sides of cows.
1比100.
People need to be aware of how inhumane organic dairy is. Organic dairy is no different than any other dairy as far as how the cows are treated. There's no such thing as happy cows in the dairy industry, and that includes organic dairy farms. Next time someone says organic dairy is different, show them this video. This is the reality of an organic dairy.
小红书